Hi, my name is Melissa Malone, and I am the showrunner for Blockwatch. Blockwatch was inspired by a couple of different things. First of all, it was inspired by the stay-at-home order that started back in March here where we live in New Jersey. And, by April, which I think is when we started kind of creating Blockwatch, we were all sort of feeling this desire to do something, to create something, to I would say distract ourselves from like all of the doom and gloom and also just from staring at the same four walls we stared at all day long every day. So a lot of it came from the desire to create something, not only as a distraction for us but as a distraction for viewers. And so we sort of band together and came up with an idea that would work for remote creation, and Blockwatch was born out of that. The inspiration for the plot itself of Blockwatch, our series is highly inspired by our local Nextdoor posts. So a lot of the storylines you see are based on actual threads from our local Nextdoor. We had a few challenges, I would say, with Blockwatch. The biggest one and the most obvious as a quarantine project was putting it all together while filming it remotely. Since everyone was filming their own things at home on whatever devices they had, one of the bigger challenges was audio, making sure audio matched as best as it could. Some people's audio, not everyone had external mics at home to use or, actual equipment. So I would say the biggest challenge was probably in that, and also in smartphone filming. It was our first, I guess, experience with not having our camera equipment because of the stay-at-home order. We had to use, what we had on hand. And I think sort of falling into having to film things on a smartphone, and it can do a lot. And we learned like a lot of great things that could be done, but also just sort of the having to create within that box, I think was sort of a big challenge. I think this project, it was so outside of what we normally do. We got to use our normal, cast and crew for the most part to create it, which was really great. But the feel of Blockwatch is very different. We normally, dabble in darker storylines and more thrillers. And I think doing a comedy was exactly what we needed for the time. And I think it was a great way for us to come together during a very dark time in history. And so I think our hopes and dreams for this series is that it gave people something to laugh at and distract themselves from the day-to-day during that. But we hope now going forward, we'll be able to move outside of a quarantine project with Blockwatch and create a second season where we're able to film together, more often and not worry, as much, hopefully once COVID has passed, about having to do it socially distant. I think that is a big hope for the series, and also just to continue it on in honor of our director.